Hi everyone, you're almost there, lunch awaits. I'm Tim, this is Chris. We're from BT's Active Intelligence team, and we use the mobile network data from the EE mobile network and turn it into insights and data products that help our customers to solve problems. Today we're going to be talking to you about what happens on the UK's roads. And what this really is a collection of observations that we've been making over the last 6 months or so as we've been developing our Road Insights product, which, as the name might imply, tells you some insights about roads. How do we do it? We take lots and lots of pings from mobility data. We turn them into dwells. We calculate journeys between those two dwells, and each journey gets routed along the road network. From that, we can start to understand lots and lots of stuff, which will become clear as the talk kind of proceeds, things like start and ends of journeys, and lots more other things. We're not going to be talking about Geo AI today. It's a bit drier. So we've linked all of these slides to road songs. We've taken inspiration from the golden age of road songs, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. People don't sing about roads anymore. Hopefully this will become clear. We're going to start here, which is all about where we are now at the RGS. This is Ghost of the Navigator by Rains Maydom. And this is a catchment map of everyone who used the A315 just over there to the north, I have terrible geography. And as you can see, it's a map of a catchment, and it shows everything that you might expect from a catchment. People who live nearer to the road use it much more often than people who live farther away. What we're trying to illustrate here is that we can use the inferred home location from our kind of devices and pick them up and transport it to the place where people are active. That's great for producing catchments, but it's also great for enriching the data a little bit more with things like geodemographics. Right, next song. This is one of the very few pieces of information that we get about subscribers. So we receive age band and we receive gender information. And this is a song by swamp rocker John Fogerty, who wrote Rocking All Over the World, as well as The Old Man Down the Road. It shows how many people, how many men over the age of 65, what proportion of them are driving along every single road. I like this map a lot because it shows not only what we're kind of expecting to see, so very low proportions of old men driving in central London, much higher proportions driving in the kind of retirement communities around Norfolk and Suffolk, but also some really interesting other facts, kind of patterns, such as really lower than average proportions of men over 65 driving on the M1, in contrast to, for example, the M40. I'm going to hand over to Chris now for some more tunes.
So I think starting with Tim's go-to karaoke song, we've got Highway to Hell. So Sorry Hole, we chose you to do the motorway to. So what we're looking at here is really trying to demonstrate that our data isn't just the origin and destination, it's looking at the whole journey. And that allows us to look at this data on a link-based. So we can get volumes and speeds on the road network across the whole UK, use it in transport planning, transport modeling as an alternative to kind of traditional data sets. So here we picked out some of the slowest moving parts on the M62, and we can see where the worst traffic happens. Next up, and another dreadful road, so looking at the M25. So there's been a number of recent road closures on the M25. We want to have a look at where were the diversions happening to avoid that closure. Did people follow the official diversion route, or were they taking their own path, following the sat-navs, ignoring all the advice? So what we've seen for the two most recent closures, only around about 10% of drivers actually followed the official route that they were asked to do. Everyone just ignored it, saved time, on average about 10 minutes, took their own routes. Yeah, that's what we can see with this data. said, it's UK-wide data, so it makes it really useful for understanding kind of large events and how that affects things on a large scale. So we looked at storm last year hitting Scotland. We want to see what effect does that have on the road network. As you'd expect, generally traffic's down, everyone's been sensible, staying at home generally, apart from 2 or 3 or 4 of the orange roads where we can see a big increase. That is down to a road closure on the A90. So again, we're seeing these sort of diversion routes in our data. Pass back to Tim.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so here we go. A bit of fun here. Here we've got everyone who used the Mersey Tunnel on Valentine's Day of this year. And where did they go? Wonderfully insightful map. You can see lots of lovers in Merseyside, Liverpool and Birkenhead. And you can even see some long distance love going on as we kind of go down to London and lots of cross the Irish Sea going across to Northern Ireland. This is another map going back in time, justified and ancient by the KLF. This is a map about everybody's favorite Roman road, the Fosse Way. And this runs from Lincoln, goes all the way down to Exeter. This is a map of people who actually kind of traveled between all of the towns along the Fosse Way, which kind of linked it up. We didn't really see many people going all the way from Lincoln all the way down to Exeter, but we do see lots and lots of movement between the towns. And as you can see down in the southwest, where the Fosse Way is actually essentially just a bunch of country lanes, everybody uses the M5 motorway instead. But as you kind of get up to the northeast, the Fosse Way becomes one of the primary routes to get, for example, between Coventry and Leicester, and then Leicester up to Lincoln.
Cool. So I think in 8 we've got Take Me Home Country Road. So what we're showing here is really we've got web and app usage data that we can use to enrich our mobility data. So that's things like your Bolt and Uber app usage. It might be micro-mobility apps like Lime. We can then look at the app data, add that onto our mobility and the journey data, and understand a bit more about what's going on. So here we've got the journey end locations after nights out in Cardiff, going into the country locations, and then when we've inferred heavy Uber usage, so that's likely to be potential Uber drivers, and looking at the inferred home locations on them. Some of the other really interesting app data we get is the EV charging app usage. So that allows us to infer when a user might be an EV owner, and therefore their journeys are likely to be in an EV. So what we've looked at is the distance traveled by EV drivers past all the UK service stations. So we can see on the map where the larger the dot, the higher proportion, or the further distance that EV drivers have traveled. You can imagine how that then starts to inform where should we be rolling out EV charging network and things like that. So I think we had the winner on this one was Southwaite up in Cumbria, as you might expect, lots of long distance journeys on the way to Scotland, things like that. So thank you everyone for listening. If you've got any questions, we're on a stand in the map room, and I think Tim will probably do some renditions of the song if you'd like him to. So thank you.